Today's video is about an old argument I've seen resurfacing, and it poses the question, if you care about Scottish independence, do you really care about child poverty? Now, it's an incredibly frustrating argument, and my article that I've written on this topic was sparked in response to an article in The Scotsman by a woman, Susan Dalgetty, who's a Scottish Labour activist and a columnist for The Scotsman. And in it, she basically makes the case that independence takes up too much of our time, too much of our focus, too much of our attention, and we don't talk enough about child poverty. And, she's right up to a point because the latest child poverty figures about Scotland are a disgrace and they should shame us all. We've had more than 2 decades of centre left governments in Scotland, and yet we still have these abhorrent conditions that children are growing up in. But where she's wrong is that actually, in my experience, it was the independence movement at its best that really politicised these arguments. I remember in 2012, barely anyone in the Westminster establishment was talking about child poverty in Scotland, if anyone at all. And it was the independence movement, when it was in its best form, that really allowed those discussions to flourish in a community level, and often in the communities that were most affected by child poverty or the deprivation that Susan Dalgetty refers to. Now, at every meeting that I attended in the run up to the 2014 referendum, politicians from all sides had to face the raw, vocal anger that people in Scotland felt about child poverty. I'm a fan of, repeating myself loudly and often, and I'll say it again. Independence in 2014 was a class issue, and the rich and powerful congregated around the No campaign and collaborated with Project Fear, to lead the No camp to victory. And we're still living with the consequences of that today. And yet we still have to hear these tired arguments from the Labour Party, because what they fail to recognise is that the 58% of people who support Scottish independence are expressing a healthy democratic instinct. Independence in 2014 was a revolt against the establishment centred on working class Labour voting constituencies, and it was based on a desire for control, for power, and for political autonomy. Now, I just don't buy this Labourist idea that the working class, including those who are at the very margins of the economy, are not political actors and are instead charity cases to be helped out by well-meaning politicians. The latest poll for independence expresses again that healthy democratic instinct. And for people in the no camp of Scottish Labour, what is their plan for that healthy democratic instinct? To me, it sounds like they're saying, get back in your box, play the long game, and wait for Keir Starmer to romp to victory in 2024. There's no mention of what the plan is to reverse this trend of child poverty under a Tory government, and whilst we're still part of Britain. There's no case being made for greater redistribution beyond the current Barnett settlement. And as for federalism, it's a complete red herring and it doesn't speak to these healthy democratic instincts. My view is that these trends in child poverty and extreme inequality won't be addressed if working class people are told to remain passive. And that's just what a keep calm and vote for Labour strategy does. Scottish people aren't going to return to voting for Labour en masse, because in reality, Scottish Labour doesn't offer agency or control. And if you vote for a Labour government in 2024, their reforms don't even outlast the next round of Tory governments. The predominance of the state in our lives and questions of independence and sovereignty will mean it's always going to be a focus for political conflicts over economic distribution. Labour is at risk of becoming a rump of embittered, hard unionists whose only plan is to tell working class people to just wait around and vote for a Starmer in 2024, to vote for a centrist in 2024 who isn't going to touch the edges of the inequality that people in every part of the UK are suffering. And for the working class in Scotland, neither Johnson nor Starmer represents any kind of future. History has told us time and time again that when the working class are told to sit around and wait for well meaning politicians to deliver charity or opportunity, then change happens at a slow rate. But when the working class get organised and demand concessions and change for themselves, then that's when history is really made. So that's my thoughts on this tired argument I've seen being rolled out again. If you've got thoughts too, then leave them in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more videos.